with this emergency that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, well, the past month or so. We heard from Rob Rogers that 400 odd homes have gone, 6 people have lost their lives in New South Wales alone, and that leads us to the legal ramifications. And joining me now is Sam Macedone from Macedone Lawyers. Let's start, Sam, welcome.
Morning, Tim.
But let's start with the front of arsonists and the ramifications of anyone who has what we would perceive as an idiotic idea of starting a fire.
Well, hopefully they get caught, and if they do, the law will deal with them rather harshly. There's a 14-year jail term, and the way the courts are looking at these matters at the moment, because of the damage and the danger and the life that's lost, most people, if caught, will go to jail, and probably for a long time. Unfortunately, a lot of these arsonists are young kids. People that are treated differently in the courts because of their age, and as young kids, very rarely will you end up seeing them go to jail. But goodness gracious me, I mean, something's got to be done about these young people, and somehow I think the parents have got to take some responsibility here. Yeah,
absolutely. You can't abrogate responsibility if your children are out there doing these kinds of things underage. Now, there has been a few moments, particularly over the last week or so, where we've heard older people who are involved, so they're going to get the full book thrown at them with little questions.
Absolutely, and with full force, and so they deserve it as well. I mean, you just can't imagine how anyone would make that decision to start a fire knowing full well the damage it can do, the lives that can be lost, and what it puts the firefighters through. I mean, it's just unbelievable, and they should have the book thrown at them twice.
We've only heard from those New South Wales stats for 400 to 450 homes, and the count hasn't finished, but this is across the country, and potentially through the summer it's going to be a very difficult summer. What are the legal ramifications, and what legal grounds do people have, particularly if a fire has started illegally?
Well, where an arsonist is involved, you'd have to consider suing the arsonist. Now, if the arsonist, as I said, is a child, you're not going to get anywhere. If the arsonist is a grown adult, probably the person that would do that has no assets anyway, so you're not going to get anywhere near. The Black Saturday fires in Victoria, remember those?
Yep.
Actions were taken there, and in another area where a fire took place, where they sued the electricity transmission companies because the wires came down in the wind and that started the fire. And they also sued the government in relation to not properly looking after or maintaining or managing these assets, as a result of which there was a 500 million settlement. So yes, it's possible if you can direct the blame to some corporation or company, but an individual, very difficult.
There has been a lot of talk, particularly on Talkback Radio and elsewhere, about backburning and whether or not the government has done the right thing and on the front foot enough. That is an area which, when the dust all settles, could be looked at.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you've had a Royal Commission and a lot of other people that have made recommendations about the need for proper bushfire management plans, for backburning and for hazard reduction in particular. Where I think an authority has neglected that, there may very well be a cause of action, although I hear from those responsible for backburning and fire reduction or hazard reduction that their numbers have been dwindled. So do you blame them because there's now only half of them there? It's a very difficult situation, but one that, yes, there are issues, legal issues, that can arise as a result of this, but at the end of the day, I think we should be concentrating more on preventing these things, because loss of houses, loss of lives is just not good enough.
Absolutely. Now, what about insurance as we move down that road? Because it's difficult, isn't it? We often see battles of, you know, you had this insured, but you didn't have this insured, and this doesn't fall under. Where do people sit there? And for those that are not insured, it's just an absolute tragedy.
Well, the trouble is people don't think about these things until after the damage is done. But just giving you some statistics from the Black Saturday fires, 80% of the people that had their houses burnt down were underinsured. 13% were not even insured at all. The end result was, I think, $1.2 billion paid out in house and contents policies. But look, you've really got to think about the fact that if you are in an area where it's likely to be in trouble if there's a bushfire, get your insurance up to date and make sure you understand what the terms of that insurance are, because sometimes if you don't have a fire plan in place, you might not be covered. So think about these things before the time comes, not after. It's too late then.
Because you do not have a legal footing, do you, if you don't have it?
No, nothing. Your house goes. And fires will either destroy a home totally or not touch it at all. There's very, very rare circumstances where there's only partial damage. So, you know, get your act together. It's your responsibility. You have to have insurance.
Sam Macedone from Macedone Legal. Great to see you this morning.
Thanks,
and it's always nicer to talk about brighter subjects, but you talk common sense.
Thank you.